Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast where we try to figure it all out with your hosts, Brandon and Collin. On this week's show, an update of sorts. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Now we better be careful because the level 5 Northern Lights thing may interrupt us here.
That's true. Did you see it at all?
So I did not know that if you took a picture of it, it looked better.
I didn't know that either.
Because we stepped out onto our deck last night with a beautiful sky and saw this weird, like, purpley pink haze everywhere and went, huh. Well, anyway, we went to bed, woke up the next morning to Facebook flooded with beautiful photographs.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, we were supposed to take a picture of it. Interesting.
That would have been helpful because we went and drove backwards last night.
Yeah.
And we saw it at a pretty good in one spot, right? But then if we would have had that information, it would have made the whole trip probably a bit more useful, right? Because we were just driving around looking for, seeing if we could get in some clearer sky. Because we do live like right in the middle of town, right?
Sure.
So we thought maybe if we get out a little bit, it'd be better. But that information would have been great to have. But so we only got slightly lost in the hollers and back roads. Only
That's
took
fine.
one small wrong turn. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yes.
So
yeah, well, I mean, if you were, it wouldn't be a nightly adventure if you didn't get just a little bit lost, just a little bit of peril,
So wee bit of peril. Saw a giant owl though, so that was good. Yeah,
Aww.
It was like
okay, that's cool.
I thought so. We're driving. We're kind of looking at the sky and driving like very narrow road, right? This is like very, very like back farm roady, right? So very narrow road.
Perfect. Yeah.
And all along the road, we'd been seeing all these trees down, right? That then people like lop the limbs off and then they drug them off to the ditch with the tractor to come back later, right?
Yeah.
Because as we're about to talk about very soon, very weathery this week, very exciting.
Oh.
Anyway, so I'm driving along and I just see out of the corner of my eye this brown thing, and I thought it was a part of a tree. And we're driving like very slow too, by the way. And then it just takes off. And we were both like, like swerve the car over a little bit, right? Just because it caught me so off guard because it just went, all of a sudden, just unfurled these massive wings, just boom. And so Susan got a very good look at it in the passenger seat because it was like right there.
It was that close. Wow.
Yeah, it was like sitting on the side of the road.
Oh, perfect.
Right? It was just like sitting there, and I don't know if it was like eating some roadkill or something, probably because there was a lot of that, So I'm mad. It may have been doing some carrion stuff or whatever, but all of a sudden it just like flapped, and this huge bird just like took off.
Wow!
Really close to the car, like oh.
Well, that made it extra worth it then.
Yeah. So so we saw all the rest of the normal nocturnal fauna. Right? We saw like rabbits and possums and the armadillos, right? And then also just a giant owl, right? Add that to the list.
Who knew?
Yeah, not me. Was not expecting that one.
Yeah. So we did not have any owls or anything along those lines. We literally like stepped out and went and just on our back porch stared at the sky. I mean, seriously, I was like, oh, well,
yeah.
Anyway, and we went back to bed. And I was like, oh, well, it could have been way more exciting than I thought.
Well, that was pretty cool, though. It was neat, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, don't know how many times in your lifetime you're going to experience a stage 5 geomagnetic storm and a complete solar eclipse, lunar eclipse in the same year. So
look at that.
That's
got all the celestial activity.
Yes.
Right. Look at that.
Eek.
Yeah. It was, not often you get northern lights in Missouri.
No.
So
no, and I think they're also supposed to be strong tonight. But we've got
may go out and look again. I don't know if
think
we'll
we're supposed to have
about, but
we've got some cloud cover. So
I don't know. It was okay here earlier. Let's go see when we're done here. Go peek and just see what's up.
Yeah, just go wander around.
Yeah,
mutter to yourself in the dark through the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, we live on the side of town that has all the business lights, so it's not really dark out here. So that's hence the driving about yesterday. But yeah, that piece of information would have been more useful before we set out on our sojourn, because we did get a good section of where we could see them pretty good. They're very purpley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was real weird because, when we were driving, we kind of looking and rolled the window down and looked. And the more you looked at it, you're just like, no, that's just vertical lines.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. All right, let's see what's.
Yeah.
And then it's oh, okay, it is very.
Okay, there it is.
And magenta-y.
Yes.
Right? There you go.
Very good. Yeah.
Good job. Good job, magnetic field.
Yeah, look at you. Being a magnetic field.
Protecting us from solar radiation. Good job.
Pretty rad job.
Yeah, true. Of course, listeners, only recording this late in the week this week because the Missouri weather has been insane. Wouldn't be a podcast based in the Midwest if we didn't talk about tornadoes. What the heck is up, man?
Oh my gosh.
First of all, got to give a shout out, right? And hope all is well to all of our homies in Wowoka and Holden, right?
Yeah.
Last week, they got a whole bunch down there all the way through Oklahoma. Oklahoma was just berated by all of them. And then they decided to share with Missouri. Come on, Oklahoma. That's not necessary, but
wonderful.
You can share other things with us. Oklahoma smash burgers, chief among the things that we would rather have you share with us, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That'd be much better.
Weather. So shout out to our peeps in Holden and Wowoka, Holdenville, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they got whammed. But yeah, we had a whole bunch days in a row of, oh no, another tornado warning.
Oh my gosh. It was a blast. And we were trying to remember the last time we had this much of an active tornado season.
It's been a while.
And I was actually home with the family for this most recent one, and we were looking at the storms and the radar and stuff, and I was like, oh right, it's that one time where I go, this is why we need broadcast TV. Dang it. Because and the little antennas that you need to get, you have to get a 75 mile to a 100 mile antenna to get broadcast TV for us. Because
it's way up there.
We're way in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle.
Right in the middle. Right in the midst of nothing. And so we don't have that, and I'm trying to find it on streaming or whatever. So we're just on our phones. I'm scrolling through Facebook and just doing it that way. And I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be bad. And so it's been so long since I've actually heard a tornado siren during a tornado, actual event.
Oh yeah.
That I'm
not the test, not the Wednesday test.
Yeah. I'm like, how do these actually work? Okay, it's blaring right now. There's nothing in the sky. So
but that means you're in the warning.
This must be, we're in the warning, right? This is the get thee to shelter, right? But then it starts sounding again once the storm is closer. And then it would stop in the middle and then would start sounding again. I think
they just stop every once in a while, right? I feel like that's what they do. They just I don't actually know because I don't really know the logistics of this, but they do that all the time. they'll like
Yeah.
die off and then they come back, right? It's like a
Yeah. It's very, because then I was like, oh, wait, does that mean the threat is gone? Like, or is that just like they're taking a break and they'll be back? Or like, wait a minute, wait, what is this? So,
yeah, no.
yeah, we had them, they gave the blast warning, and then we were like, okay, so we just staged everything and we were prepared. And then, like, ready to go in the basement. And then the second time they sounded, it was like, we're going down now. Because it was looking real bad up by us. And I was like, okay, we'll go down, get the kids down there. Everything's rocking and rolling, and never lost power. That's what I was waiting for. I was like, okay, like, here it is, just watching the radar and looking at live streams of there's just like some guy who's like, I'm a weather enthusiast, and that's all he does. He goes live and live streams for kind of central
there's
Missouri.
Not just a guy. Oh, just for Missouri? Oh, that's handy. Because some of the ones I watch are like, he does like nationwide. And so it's like, sometimes it's hard because you're like, wait, no.
Yeah.
I don't, no offense, Ohio, not currently interested in you right now because this storm is like feet away from my house. So,
literally. Yeah, no, this guy is more like kind of central Missouri.
That's handy.
And then, so me,
but this is like a niche internet thing that I've discovered, right? Like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Dudes
and then
just like broadcasting weather things from their house.
The other,
cool, but like,
and they buy like really, really expensive high-end software to do these analyses of straight line winds and stuff. Like, they really, like, these people spend time and money, and like, they're really good at this. And at one point, this guy had like 10,000 people watching him do this live stream. And I was like, what? The other like cheat code that I realized that I should have joined a long time ago was to join the Midwest Storm Chasers website or Facebook group.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
because when you start seeing them show up in regions that you realize, you're like, nope, basement time, let's go.
Yeah. When they are excitedly circling your town and being like,
it's bad.
20 minutes. You're like, oh, well, I'll just be down here hiding.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go.
So
to my safe zone. Let me get there.
It cleared. But everything was saying like these storms are like really bad. And this was Monday for us. Monday
for us, they rolled through at like midnight, and that's always the worst.
Yes,
right. That sucks a lot.
It was not fun, especially with the kids, getting them up. And especially because Noah had his first baseball game that night, and we didn't get home until 9 p.m.
Like, he was just zonked anyway.
Zonked, right? And then here I come in going, hey, buddy, just come with me quickly.
Got to get up for like 2 seconds.
Just real fast. Just down 2 flights of stairs into the basement. It's okay. And then come to find out, like, a mile away from us, an EF1 touchdown on the north side of town and stayed on the ground for like quite a ways, and just streaked through the countryside just on the north side of town. Oh, okay. That's actually really close.
Monday we didn't have a whole lot. It was just like they were all like north of us, right? I think everything kind of rolled through pretty north of us. Like, we hit like the southern end of the little line. Like, it clipped us a little bit, but like the big storminess was like up closer to like Bolivar and stuff.
Yeah.
But Wednesday, no, that was a little closer, right? Like, we were staying at school because Susan was gonna do like the baccalaureate. Well, after baccalaureate, they're going to do our school does a kindergarten time capsule opening, where like in kindergarten they make all this stuff, and then like the seniors come back, like right before graduation, the seniors come in and they like have a party and they like show stuff and they like look at pictures and old yearbooks, and all the kindergarten teachers are there, right, and everything. So it's kind of cool, but they canceled that, and so I was just sitting in my classroom watching several weather live streamer people. And all of a sudden, you like blap county. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And so Susan obviously texted me. It's like, so the reception, handily enough, was in our FEMA building. So So she was like, you should just probably come over here and just hang out for a little bit. It's like, okay. So, so I went over and hung out, and like the sirens blared off there just long enough for like all the doors open, right? Because they're attached to the sirens through the National Weather Service or whatever. So if there is a tornado warning, door locks and everything automatically open, and the building is available for the community to come to.
Okay, right? That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And so they didn't really blip there too long because the storm was mostly north of us. It was like the northern end of the county, and we're kind of like in the middle. And so like, you know, we're over there hanging out, watching stuff, but like the northern part of the county is where I live. And so we're looking at the radar. And so it like wasn't real bad at work, right? But where we live, we're like, well, we could go, oh, nope, no, we cannot. Like, number one, we have to drive through this horrible mess. And number two, that is a massive hook echo moving towards our town. Yay.
Woohoo.
Hooray. Just what I always wanted. So we hung out there for a while, talking to some people and some staff members that were still there. Like one lady that we work with, like she also lives in the same city that we like. She lives like on the other side of town from us. So we were just hanging out, chatting with her. And like, yeah, we're not going home because
just us.
There's a massive hail core between us and home.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Want to do that. So like eventually we got like nickel size hail. But yeah, we came home. We saw these reports, right? And it looked like it just like went right down the highway.
Oof.
Like McDonald's. It wasn't like real big because I got some video. Did you get the video that I shared? Did I share that with you?
Yes.
Or just Dad?
Yeah. No, I think you did. Yeah, you sent that over.
I got another one. It's apparently like multiple small vortices, which explains some of the hopping that I witnessed. But like, there's basically a straight line from like the park, the McDonald's, the Walmart parking lot, the hospital, right? Like, that's where, like, they said that the hospital, the employees, a bunch of windows were broken in their cars.
Oh, wow.
Probably like debris, I would imagine, because some of the pictures I saw between those other places and the hospital is like a big wooded area.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining, which is where one of the barns got hit. So like, I think that's probably where some of that debris came from. But there was like power lines down close to us. And so we finally went home, but like we didn't know if we were going to have power. And by this time it was like 6:30, maybe. So we thought, well, we could go home and see if we can get to our house because they said they had a bunch of the roads blocked off. And so we didn't know which ones exactly and if we could get home. And we didn't know like if we would even have power if we got home. So we decided the responsible thing to do would be go to Sonic and see.
I mean, you might as well. It's on the way. It was on the way, right?
Might as well. Hashtag not sponsored, but did go to Sonic and get some tater tots and just like hang out for a little bit and then come home. But we did have power. It was good. It was all good.
Okay.
We didn't. I don't think we lost power because we know some of the other people that live over here. They said they didn't lose any, but you know, just to be safe, we went to Sonic, hung out. You know. For a little bit.
Delayed
coming home to make sure they had the street cleared off and whatever. So
yeah,
like didn't want that to happen. Be very bad. But yeah, it wasn't like super big, but it just did enough damage, and it would have been on the ground for a little over a mile or so, right? But it feels like it was like hopping. You know how they come down and go up again and come down and like that.
Yeah,
because the damaged path was just little things kind of spread out that far until it got to like the far edge of town where it hit like the woods in the hospital. That was a lot more
sustained.
Than the others. Because it was like just the McDonald's sign was just blown out. Like it just like blew, you know, because they're like hollow structures and just plastic around them. It just blew the plastic off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But funnily, the McDonald's did say, if you are in possession of a piece of our sign and you come in, we will give you free something. So like,
okay. That's fantastic. That is, you know what?
That was pretty good.
That is what I'm talking about, people. That is what
like
more of the world needs.
Like an ice cream or whatever, but they're like, we'll give you free like something like during like the next couple of days if you bring in a piece of the sign.
Yeah. No, really. Talk. That's really well done.
That's pretty hilarious.
gotta be real about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So sure of our European listeners are very excited hearing about. Yes, you do have when you live in the Midwest, right? You have to know things. You have to think about things like, where is the safest part of my house during a tornado? Where do I have to be to not get whisked off to Oz? Like, where do
Yes. Yes.
You have to have some sort of plan to know what happens when the weather decides that it's going to hate you that day, and you just need to.
It really is like okay, like we actually like, yeah, we've got to think about where we're going and like what we bring. Like now that we've gone through 3 of these tornado warnings and like going down into the basement and having relatively close calls each time, Lillian has now she has 2 go bags packed in her room, filled with stuffies, flashlight, books, notepad, and like a blanket, so that at a moment's notice she can grab them and go to the basement and make her life a little bit more comfortable sitting in our creepy basement.
Susan's mom does a similar thing where she used to, and I don't know if she has redone this now that she moved back out into with her new husband, but she used to have just like a basket by the door, and it had like a little flashlight, like flashlights and like snacks in it, and then that would just be just go to the.
But did they actually have a storm cellar?
Yes,
in their home. Okay, yeah.
And now in there with her new husband, they also have like it's like a little one of the outside, just like small ones that it's like you dig out and you bury it right. It's like right outside the back door, so they still have to go right outside the door, but it's like 4 feet outside the back door, and there's a little thing and it opens up and you go down in there. So the other one was a bit further away at the old farmhouse. It was it's a little jump, but it was not too far. But so yeah, she would have like a basket. She had like a go basket, and it would have like stuff, and she would just get it all out there. And she would put other things next to it, like if it was getting more, she would like add to the basket. Right?
Building upon the basket.
Yeah, like her favorite thing ever is that she has one of those like, those like ever ready lantern flashlight things.
Oh yeah,
it's like a big flashlight, and you slide up the handle, and it's a lantern, right? She has one of those, and that was like her favorite thing in the world. Like even when she used to live in the apartments, she had a spot in her closet dug out, and like the box, she had this box that was like, she had the top cleared off, and there was just like a towel and a pillow on it. And then the lantern was like right there.
Nice.
So she was ready. She was ready to go. There you go. Listeners who don't know what we're talking about, you must proceed to the most interior room of your house on the lowest floor possible. Make sure you cover yourself with any padding, blankets, pillows, towels, things like this. And remain there. Bathtubs are a great one, right? It's a classic go-to. If you don't have a basement, we have a bathtub in an interior bathroom, and that is where we got to go.
The other tip here is to stay away from windows.
Definitely.
Preferably. Most interior. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to get the flying debris, right? That's the bad part. As the hospital mentioned, right?
It's the aforementioned discussion about breaking windows.
Hospital windows not exist anymore. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. So, and then you were without power or like internet for like a day. Is that what happened there?
I don't know what happened there. It was really weird. I don't know, because there's like a cell tower like real close. So I don't know if that like messed up our thing, right? Our phone, and then our internet place, like they were in like a more direct path of like some more severe stuff. So I don't know if maybe they lost power, right? I don't know what happened there. But yeah, my mobile internet like went away. And it was weird because it was like when we came home, it was working. And then like it just went away. Like I had no cell service at all. Like
that's
when I went to bed. It was weird.
Yeah.
And in the morning, the cell service was kind of back, but there was no internet. And then now it's all back. It was very weird. Like it's
Huh.
Yeah. I have no idea what that was about. That was kind of weird.
Well, glad everybody is safe.
Yes.
For sure.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a wild for us. And then we saw on Wednesday, we were looking at people from down near Springfield. The hail that was coming down there was like,
it was enormous
like hail,
baseball size hail,
and it was so strong that
for our UK viewers, that's a little bit bigger than a cricket ball.
A little bit bigger.
And our Indian viewers, hello India, how are you?
Hello. There you go.
Also, a little bit bigger than a cricket ball. There you go. That's what's up.
Also way bigger than an actual cricket. But no, that it was like damaging the brick on the side of homes.
Whoa!
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yes, one of our employees sent us a picture of the side of her house that her brick looks like it has been shot. Like the brick is actually like chipped off the sides. You can see these pock marks in the actual brick as it was coming down at angles and striking the side of her home. Yeah. Wild.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
that's how strong that they got hit. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like I could imagine being out like driving in that. Like, geez. So yeah, good, happy, fun times.
Yeah, gross. No way.
But as part of our recovery, we went and we tried. I had to get in. You've been hogging the show with so much talk of food truck.
I'm sorry.
We had to go and we had to try a new food truck in our town. As of like,
there we go.
Okay, so it's been around for about 3 weeks, but this is the first time we were able to go to it. And I really like the idea of food trucks, but also like I am so not envious of them as an actual business because like unless you're traveling lots of places, like you have to find somebody. We've probably talked about this. Like you have to find a parking lot to share with somebody, and then convince people that that's actually where you are. Yes. Because like if you give out an address, it's going to be the address of another business so that people know where to drive to. Yeah. But like, so like Maps has to do that. Google Business has to do that. All of your social media has to do that. But it's going to point to you to like another restaurant or a liquor store or like, some office building. And it's like, no, I'm not. We have
one taco truck that's like in the parking lot next to the O'Reilly's. Like it's
And so what are they going to do? Give the O'Reilly's address. Yeah. But if you look that up, people are going to go, well, but this says it's O'Reilly. Like well, this is weird. Yeah. So we found a place. We just learned about it. It is called Taste of India.
Oh boy. That's I like to hear. That's
could not get there fast enough. We were there 36 hours after I learned of its existence. And boy, howdy. We showed up and we were ready to order. And it was we have gone to a lot of different Indian restaurants. And so like we know immediately what we want. And they were very excited to hear us ordering something that wasn't on the menu, but they still had. This was
there we go.
They were very excited about this.
They're like, okay,
yes,
got it.
yes. We were reading through things, and I was like, well, they don't have this version of it, but let's just see if they have a chicken sag. Like, did you have a chicken sagwala? And they were like, they were like looking around and they're like, yeah, we can do that for you. Absolutely. And like, they were like happily writing our orders down and everything. And I also have to remind myself that just because they're a food truck doesn't mean that they're prices are any less expensive than a brick and mortar restaurant.
No, not necessarily. Sometimes there are, but
sometimes, but not all. I will say that they did not have the kids order a Jenga tikka masala, which is shrimp, and they did not have that. However, most of the time, all that they do, they don't even really season the shrimp. They saute them and then they add them to the tikka masala.
Sauce.
Yeah. Yes. So I bought shrimp and sauteed them, and then we showed up, and I was like, I just want your tikka masala sauce and some rice. And they were like, absolutely. Here you go. And I was like, oh, what? I didn't think you were going to actually let me just buy sauce.
Yeah.
But okay. We ordered all this food, and it is pouring rain. And
no.
Like it's pouring. So we run back to our car. We're sitting there. And after a while, like the grandma comes out, and she's like, I see her carrying these drinks to our car. And I'm like, we didn't order drinks. And we roll down the window, and she hands us 2 mango lassi for the kids. She goes, for the kids, here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love mango lassi. I won't drink these, I promise. And we give the kid. And
but if my son doesn't drink all of his, then
immediately,
I'm giving you all, what's that over there? Like,
yes. So we're sitting in the car being pummeled by rain, kids sipping mango lassi. They come out with our order, and they have also thrown in rice pudding and
nice.
Oh, what else did they threw in another dessert that
rice pudding
absolutely love, and this is going to drive me insane. I need to look up this word. Hold on. And so they threw in 2 free desserts for us. Nice. The gulab jamun, the milk donuts.
Okay.
With oh gosh. Oh, these are so good. I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And she was like, enjoy, thank you for coming. And I said, well, in the rain right before she turned, I said, are you guys doing well? And she goes, very slow. And I said, is it the rain? And she goes, it hasn't stopped. And she ran back inside. So, food trucks are also kind of hard to entice people to come out to when it's pouring down rain for 3 weeks of your existence and tornado warnings are everywhere. But I was just, so we got home, we unpacked it, barely sat down, and just devoured everything. And I was like, I am so thankful, because like it's the one restaurant that in town where Megan and I are like, we need an Indian restaurant. Like we need an Indian restaurant. Like I don't need, and no offense, I don't need another Mexican restaurant. They're all delicious. We've been to them all. Oh man, or we don't need another barbecue restaurant.
Yeah, you very quickly become oversaturated with like pizza places and barbecue restaurants. And it's like, I really only need like one pizza restaurant. Yeah. Like,
I'm really good.
And actually, truth be told, since I've been starting making pizza at home, I don't order pizza out.
Whoa, anymore. Shots fired.
It's because it's so much faster.
Well, and you can control a lot of it as well, and you're not.
And some pizza, they like way overcharge you for pizza. It's ridiculous. Like the ingredients for pizza are not expensive. Like, what are you doing? Guys, come on.
Oh. So we eat everything, and there's only a few things, just a little bit of naan left over. And that was the other thing. Like we were ordering naan, and she got really excited because the menu was just like garlic naan, plain naan. And we were talking about, like, I had a question to Megan this was after we had ordered the thing that wasn't on the menu. And she started saying like, oh, well, we can do like chicken naan, and we can do this other naan, and we can do that if you need those. And I was like, oh, not right now, but maybe next time. I just
when I come back, I will need this information. Right,
take you up on that. And I was like, so like I took notes on the back of the menu and took it home of like, don't forget about this next time. Oh, but it was so good, and everybody was really, really nice, and I was very excited to see them there. And it's one of those like family-owned businesses and restaurants that mom, dad, grandma, brother, like everybody's working in the restaurant, and it's just really cool. And very thankful that we finally have it. So we will have to patronize that a lot to make it hopefully help be successful.
True. That story reminds me of the time there's a Filipino food truck here now. And like the first time we ate there, it was like January that week that it was like -20. And they were like, no, we'll be open, seriously. And we're like, okay, we're going anyway. And so we had to sit outside. It was so cold. But pork adobo, though. Like, I mean, come on. Like, what is he gonna?
Yes.
It was worth it because it was so good. But I was like, oh my god, it's so cold out here.
Yeah. So yeah, we had our fill, and it was actually like, oh, this is it's one of those days where it's kind of, it's warm, but the rain is cold. And so it actually is like kind of like a cold, not fun day. But now we are all filled with tikka masala, and it's
fine.
Very wonderful. Is very happy about this. So yeah, we were all made the better, thankfully. But yeah, so got to try a new place in town, and it made me very happy.
That's great. That's exciting. Our food truck thing is getting ready to get started back up again. So we'll be going to that some more too. So I'm excited about that. See if there's any new ones out there. But the old ones we have are good.
Yeah.
The only update I have on food front is apparently the Salvadorian bakery next weekend. So next weekend, they advertise that they're going to be selling pupusas on Saturday. And I'm going to break down their door.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So see if we can make it in time. See if they sell out like immediately.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes. But we'll see. So update incoming on that. See how that goes. But
okay. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
It's very good.
Yeah, well, and this actually really got me thinking about my the topic that I had thought of the other day of the Towers of Silence.
Yes, the much anticipated.
Well, and I don't want to bring this into the amazing thing that I talked about with the amazing food, but as I was eating it, I was like, oh, hey, I have a tie-in to this topic now, because I came across this on the intranets the other week, and I was like, this is as one does, and particularly for just the massive impact that this had. So the Zoroastrians are a sect. Okay, right?
Yes. Okay.
Now,
I'm familiar.
Okay, so let me start with that. Okay, so they came out of Iran,
yes.
Right? And they group settled and expanded into India and brought their practices with them. When a Zoroastrian dies, they cannot bury them because that contaminates the soil. They cannot burn them because this contaminates the fire element. They can't use any of these elements that they believe are sacred because it contaminates them and makes them bad, because they believe as soon as you die, your body becomes contaminated, and so it hurts everything else. So the only way that they decided to get rid of your body was through a process that is known as, what is its name? It is called excarnation.
Excarnation.
Okay, where
it doesn't sound good.
So it starts off with just leaving your body exposed to the elements, but then they add a purifying element to this, and they developed over the centuries a very close relationship with vultures.
Oh, this is very interesting.
Okay, so
that's what I thought. That's where I thought this was going.
Okay, yeah, right. So what they do is they take the body and they take it to they called towers of silence. They're not actually towers. Like, this is a very like Western culture of like, oh, they're ominous and scary and spooky. They're kind of like mounds, right? And they're very set off away from town.
Yeah.
But that's where the bodies are taken. And carrion birds take care of everything else. And it was like extremely clean, extremely efficient with all this going on. Flash forward many thousands of years. Okay.
Yeah.
We're in Dubai, and there's this garden in the middle of the thriving Dubai metropolis where there is a tower where Zoroastrians are still practicing this in modern day Dubai.
Oh,
okay. Yes.
That's a bit more
Weird.
problematic.
Yes. because first off, high rises. Okay.
Yeah.
High rises. People started to see these things. But then people started to notice from these high rises that like the bodies were there for like a long time. And then they realized, hey, we see all these birds over there, but none of them are vultures. So like, what happened here? And they did this nationwide survey. And the problem is that vultures were so numerous that nobody ever thought to like count them. And so when they finally did the survey, though, they were like, oh, this is weird because farmers out in the farmlands are having a hard time with their dead cows, right? And their dead livestock. They're not going anywhere.
Because all the vultures are in the...
Well, no, because all the vultures were gone. That's vanished. Crazy. Because, okay, so now we're like, oh, they estimated that this is the fastest almost extinction event that happened globally. They dropped 99% of their population over the course of 5 to 10 years.
Whoa.
And I
just thought they were all in the city just eating all the people. They're like, I ain't got time for cows. These are eat these.
No. Okay.
Eat these Zoroastrians.
Cows are a big part of the culture, and they are well protected and well loved, meaning that they give them lots of medications and antibiotics and things like this. And it turns out that one of those, when consumed in high volumes, as, a vulture would, gives them kidney failure.
Wow.
And they all die. And it is so pervasive and so cheap that even it is given to some people as for treatments of certain things and ailments. And so it's everywhere in the society. And vultures, I didn't know this, lay one chick like every 5 years or so.
That is a big problem.
So like growing the population ain't going to happen really fast. And also
I knew that's what the problem with the California condor was.
Yes.
Right?
So
the
kind
birth
of the same
rate
thing
is
there.
so low.
Yep. Low birth rates, high parental care, right? So survival of each individual offspring high, but it takes so long.
Yeah.
And so, but you can't control where the carrion birds are eating and where they're not eating and who's using these things and who's not using these things. Meanwhile, the Zoroastrians are like, this is our religion. We can't do anything but this. This is how we get rid of bodies. And so it caused this massive upheaval for them to draw into question basically their entire existence as a religion and as a group of what does this mean? How do we take care of this? They had all these contraptions of like, well, what if we just attract like other kinds of birds? Or what if they actually thought about building massive cages around these areas to just keep the birds in there, the vultures in there, right? Like massive, like multi-million-dollar structures to just contain them over these things. But it's like
a avium,
like an aviary,
like an aviary. Oh, I'm imagining. Okay, this is breaking with the seriousness of the topic.
Well, you're fine.
But do you remember Jurassic Park 3?
Yes, of course.
And
yes, absolutely.
And they have the big aviary It has the pterosaurs in it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just
Yes.
like that?
Something like that, only for vultures. But then people were like, well, yeah, but that's not how like vultures live. Like they don't live in those things, and you can't like. What are you going to have to do? There's like a breeding population in there. Like that's not. That's
this
kind
is
of
Dubai. Imagine the size of the aviary.
Yeah, well, they would just build it over this massive, like it's like 50 acres, like park or whatever in the middle of there. But still, a 50-acre aviary, like no. And so, like
they may try. They're building that line, man. You never know.
So that was what people went with for the long time. But meanwhile, Dubai's growing, and people are seeing this thing from their high rises. The things aren't going anywhere like quickly, and so like they like develop these like mirrors to like speed up the process, but that doesn't work, and it's like really terrible, and like so people stop using these, and it really has impacted the Zoroastrians like ability to carry out this way of life. And it was this huge hot button topic of this outdated business, like mid, terrible process and these backward ways, and really threw into this culture clash of societies, of new and old and traditional and progressive ways of thinking in their society, and how they were going to continue on living and what that would look like. And it was all because people were giving their cows antibiotics to keep them alive longer. And the vultures ate them, then the vultures died. Vultures couldn't carry out this excarnation through this process. And it was just, as I dove into this and learned, it was just like wow. How could, like, just another example of how connected it's just like everything is, and how you don't ever really know, like, as I'm injecting this cow, like the ramifications that this is going to have for millions of people and for generations and generations.
Yeah.
Because now they're trying to grow back the what is it called? Like the Gillespie gypsy. Oh gosh, I'm really gonna
I don't know.
Bugger this
That's
up. There's
that's right. Like a very specific type of buzzard.
Vulture this vulture species. Yeah. They're trying to get, and it's like they are trying to, rehabilitate or repopulate.
Yeah.
But again, it takes so long. And so this is a multi-generational thing for humans to endeavor upon. And meanwhile, they're trying to do these. Now they're panicking because they're like, well, we know of certain drugs that are terrible for the kidneys of these birds, but what other drugs are going to come down the line that we've got to test and like have to figure out? And like, it's just drawn into question. So like pharmaceutical industry and all of these aspects that they're still working through. And I just, as I read and looked through this, it was like, wow, like that's talk about heated, like that's like, especially when you're drawing in like cultural and religion stuff, and now environmental and ecological and ways of life. It's just like, that's messy.
That's crazy. Interestingly, here's the other part about this is extremely interesting to me, is that the Zoroastrians are now the second group of people that I have heard about before that practice this form of burial.
Really?
Yeah. Tibetan Buddhists also do this. They call it sky burial, right? Because like up on the Tibetan plateau, up in the Himalayan mountains, there's no wood, right? Because traditionally, other Buddhist areas, like they do like cremation and stuff, but like when you're that high up in the mountains, there's not any wood. It's just like rock only. And they practice sky burial, or they have traditionally. I don't know if it's like still a big common thing or not, but they do sky burial stuff too there, right? It's like kind of like, because the Buddhists believe like, well, once the spirit has left the body is like useless. And so by giving it to, the animals and stuff, they're like helping with the life cycle, right? And they're giving nutrients and sustaining the environment, like the other ecosystem, I guess, basically. And so that's not what's important to them. Like the body is not important to the Buddhists, so they're just like whatever. But they also practice sky burial, where they will just take the bodies up. They just do it. It's like a mountain, right? They just go up to a certain spot, and then they will just leave the body there, and then again carry on and things like this. Take care of the rest of it. So that's extraordinarily interesting to me that these two very different groups of people.
Yeah, and I guess I should
same.
Sorry,
like. Practice. That's very interesting.
And I should be more specific here. Technically, it's the Parsi community that is practicing this. But yeah, they're the ones practicing it in India from the Zoroastrian tradition. And so, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess according to this about the Buddhist one, it's Tibet, Qinghai, Sichuan, Inner Mongolia, Nepal, Bhutan, and parts of India. So there would be the crossover event, right? Of where those two cultures potentially intersect. And yeah, comparable to parts of the Zoroastrian burial rites.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. It's and it's part of one of those things of oh, sorry.
You're good. Oh. But that's just like a lot. That's a lot of crossover. And that's a wide area. When I'm reading this, that's a very wide area where it is. Again, most of that is mountainy. So it makes sense, right? Because Inner Mongolia, desolate, mountainy, southern China, mountainy, Tibet, mountainy, Nepal, Bhutan, mountainy, India, mountainy. That's very crazy. I wonder what. I guess just the reasoning is the difference part. This is comparable, but it must just be the why. Nope. Wrong button. Yeah, that's so weird.
Okay, hold on.
You're good. I was just vamping. Okay. Yeah, it appears that there is some crossover events here. Oh man, could also be related to more ceremonial practices. There's also suspected sky burial evidence found at Göbekli Tepe, which is kind of insane because that was built 11,000 years ago. So that is a very, very old thing indeed. I don't know how you find evidence of sky burial because the whole point is to not leave evidence. Yes? But so maybe, I don't know what that evidence would be exactly. I would like to know what that is. It would be a bit tricky, but.
Okay. Sometimes when dogs don't eat, it's stressful. So anyway, sorry about that. So
no worries.
You have been cross culturaling comparing
it's very interesting.
Skybirth.
Yes. And the Buddhist version is a bit more involved and gruesome. So we'll leave out some of the details here. This is a family show after all. But it's very
got you.
It's very it's just very interesting how that practice apparently. Did you hear the thing I said about Göbekli Tepe?
No.
All
sorry.
Right. So the where we left off here is this thing says that there is potentially evidence for this sort of burial practice found at Göbekli Tepe. Now, I don't really know what sort of evidence you find of this because the whole point is to have no evidence whatsoever. Right.
Oh,
but if that's true, Göbekli Tepe is like an 11,000-year-old site in Turkey. So that's very strange.
wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean,
right. So this is a
I
potentially extremely ancient way to deal with things. Just being like, well, we're just gonna
well, and
to the birds.
yeah, and that's again why this is so hard, because you have it coming in going, we've literally that we can trace this back, right, 11,000 years. Like,
yeah, maybe,
what?
but
Yeah, maybe, but yes, like at least thousands. Okay, but
yeah,
but when we're talking about thousands and thousands of years here, it's like, yeah, like this is why this kind of thing is wild to see. No, it's very anyway,
pretty cool.
yeah,
I just when you started talking about that, I was like, okay, this is wild because I have heard of this, but in a completely different context. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, I know
that exists in like the same idea, basically, with some modification and whatnot, is present in just like a completely different thing. That's so crazy.
yeah, how about seemingly arose in kind of different societies and cultures, but like,
yeah,
but also,
but there is an India crossover connection here, right?
Yeah,
so potentially it's actually a shared idea from somewhere else, right? And it just went in these different directions. It's crazy. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Yes,
man. Wild.
so yeah, that's what I wanted to share and talk about, was really just this, like, because I like those. It's one of those stories of because I was thinking about, like, oh wow, like you hear about things about like this a lot, like we had the brown pelicans and their eggs and bald eagles, from the shells being too thin and weak to do this from the pesticides, but like to then ratchet up a whole other level to be like, oh, and also
to the antibiotics in the cow causing renal failure in vultures.
Yes,
that's a very
like, okay, but also these we grew concerned about it in the United States when the bald eagle, we were like, oh, it's our national bird, like we're kind of concerned now, but like,
yeah, but this vulture is apparently a central pillar in a religious belief.
Yes,
right, which is like, that's crazy that like,
and then because the vultures weren't doing what they had done for centuries, it thrust this small religious community, the Parsi, into the modern globe and the modern context and the modern eye, because now their practices were impacting people around them because the birds weren't there to take care of it. And it was just so many interconnected factors of like, right, like this, again, like how connected things are and how quickly is this, like, man, that got out of control fast. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and it shows you like just how quickly these things do collapse, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just like another example, but like, the what was it, the passenger pigeon or whatever, right? Like, 70 bazillion pigeons. No pigeons, right? That's like, it's like just like that. It's just gone. Like that, because when you're like, oh, you take it for granted, like, oh, it's so numerous. Oh, I see them all the time. Oh, they're everywhere. I haven't seen them in a while. I wonder where they went. Oh no, right? Like, there's just like vast instability, right? It can just come from these things. It's just like when you're not paying attention. Oh no, everything's gone wrong. Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
It's all downhill. Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
So, yeah, that was, I don't know if that was like, I was like, this is just wild to think about. Like, this is so.
It is wild. You're correct. That's what.
That's why I wanted to share it.
Well, good job.
Thanks.
I've been waiting. Yes. I purposely did not do any research because you just been teasing, and I was like, okay, I must I must know. I didn't want to spoil myself here.
Oh,
to keep in the theme with the show of not actually knowing what's happening at any given moment.
Exactly.
We had to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was sideswiped by the Parsi community and everything going on here in Sky Burial and the
pretty wild
cow antibiotics. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's my update, and all that to say that the taste of Indian food that we had was delicious.
There you go. I have a slightly related note that I've been sitting on for a little bit, and I think now is a good time to just bust it out here. This is also an update of sorts, right? You may remember a long time ago, we did briefly discuss orangutan behavior in the wild. Yes? You remember this? We're talking about how certain orangutans in different areas use different tools, and they have their different orangutan cultures, apparently.
Yes.
Right? Well, this article that I read recently, within the last 2 weeks, has in Sumatra, right? An adult male orangutan has been seen medicating himself.
With what?
Yeah. So he had this big wound on his face, and they watched him eating these plants, and they were like, "That's weird. That's not a typical part of their diet." But these plants are known to have pain killing properties.
What?
And so he was actually chewing them up into a poultice and rubbing it on his face. Right?
What?
That's what he was doing.
Why?
He was making a poultice out of this plant. It is a plant that locals and scientists and stuff know has pain killing properties. And so he has this wound thing under his right eye, and he was observed eating these plants or messing with these plants, and they were like, "That's kind of weird. They don't eat those. These are not a part of their diet."
Yeah. And
he was actually observed making a paste and applying it to his face.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. What? Yeah. He was making a poultice out of these different types of these leaves here.
Oh. Yeah. Good. Oh, good old Ruckus.
Yeah. That's great.
Yes. Look at him. Oh, and he's in his 30s as well, so he's hitting his prime.
He's wise.
He's
right,
wise.
Obviously.
He's doing this stuff.
Right. It's also weird that orangutan is as old as us.
Oh,
that's weird. Think about that.
You mean as young as us? Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say.
In his prime.
We're the same age as this orangutan. That's weird. Think about. But also, yeah. Because we talked before about some of them use tools and some of them do things, and some of them they use different tools because they kind of have slightly different diets based on their region, and so they do different stuff, and they wear leaves as hats when it's rainy, and they do all this very interesting thing. But this dude is apparently making medicine for his little eye wound he's got there.
That's wild. Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah,
active self-treatment of a facial wound with a biologically active plant by a male Sumatran orangutan.
Yeah.
And it's a wicked wound too.
Who knows how? But it's big. And but he's just rubbing it on the wound. That's it's really cool. That's just really interesting to me that is a thing, right? So there's a lot of other interesting implications here, sort of like sky burial. Where did it come from? How did these different people learn about it? Is it possible that very early human people watched animals do stuff and were like, "Hey, I'm gonna do that too," and then "Oh, hey, cool, it does work," and then shared knowledge travels a really long way, right? Potentially cross species, right? And there's always things to learn from other people / animals / orangutans / But the implications of that are also interesting, right? Did early humans watch something do that and be like, "Hey, I wonder if I can do that too"? Yes, I can. Ha ha.
Yes.
Right? And then it's just something that you know how to do, and you lose the ability to figure out where it came from, right? Sort of like sky burial. Where did it start? No one knows, but they do it.
But they do it. Yeah, and that gets that. Yeah, why do we do it? We don't know, but we do. Yeah, and sometimes that's definitely for the yeah. It's like, oh well, this is just what it like. Oh well, I mean, it draws into a lot of questions of like, yeah, what does it mean to be human, right? Because if we like, oh no, well, this is what we do, and blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, but if somebody from somebody picked up something from something else, and
if
now
you watched an orangutan do it, and that's why you know how to do it. Right?
Is it really definitional anymore?
Yeah, like definitionally, what does that mean? Like, what?
Yes,
it's very interesting. Very interesting. But I just thought it was really cool that he was observed actually like self-medicating his little eye wound. Yeah. I thought that was really cool and really neat.
Yeah. Well,
and to call back to our weird conversation about orangutan habits. So they go. It's actually a tie-in and a reference to an old show that we did. So look at that.
And a great reminder, folks, for something that I'm extremely passionate about of like basic science is so fundamental. Like the fact that many people poo-poo of the I'm going to go sit in the woods and observe and like just like I think about this a lot for our kids of like I kind of just want them to be really good naturalists of like know things, understand the world, know the timing of seasons and what that means and how things relate to one another. Like that's really important for me to get and make sure that they understand. Yeah. And like that kind of science is so fundamental and basic that we forget that it's important and that we get caught up in like, genes and genetic mutations and like doing these therapies and like, we'll just sequence everything and that'll understand. And like, that's where we're going. It's like, these people were literally sitting in the woods with a notebook and binoculars and went, hey, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Like, write that down. And then it's like the fact that it's a reminder of like the fact that we don't even know how long some species live. Like we just have no idea. And like, we don't know why they do things or where things come from. So get out and just observe things, people, and don't let any genomicist tell you that your work is not important because they're ridiculous.
That's true. Well, I talk about at the beginning of the year, right, when we're talking about like the scientific method and things like this and just sort of like that. I really try to distill it down and I'm like, listen, a lot of really important science breaks down to looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And what type of science you're doing basically depends on what are you looking at. Right? Like, it's kind of like, that's the basis of everything. Like, you just have to look at it. You have to observe it. That's it. Like, and what you're looking at dictates the field of science that you're in. Right?
Yep.
You're looking at a rock, you're a geologist. If you're looking at the atmosphere, you're a climatologist, right? If you're looking at a plant, you're a botanist, right? It's just like
no, I remember at my undergrad, like this is really what shaped that there was a professor there who all he did was like age studies on a handful of different species of fish and like how long they lived and how fast they grew in certain circumstances and across time. And that's what he did. And I remember at the time being like, oh, that's quaint, right? Like, but then the more I was like, oh no, that's really fundamental. Like if you don't know how long something lives, like there's a lot of other like there's basic questions that we don't understand of like how aging works and like all of this stuff. And it really made me like ask
people. It
helps
you better understand like the life cycle too. Yes. Like, well, how long, like, because some things are along like forever, like vultures apparently, and then they lay an egg, right? Yeah. So like the time to like sexual maturation is like very long. There are certain species of fish do this too, right? Like they're like sturgeon, right? They're like alive for like 50 years and then they become reproductively active. You're like, whoa, okay, hold on a minute here.
This changes everything about our introductory programs. Like, right? Like reset some expectations. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not like other fish that are like, I can like a rabbit, right? Like I can breed now. Yeah. No. No. That's not how this works.
better set your grandkid up for success here, buddy.
Mhm.
Because yeah, exactly. And no, I just like that was some of the my I turned into that guy where it was like, oh, that's cool. You're studying the genes of the fish. Do you know how long it lives? Oh no, oh, okay, no, okay. Anyway, cool.
Yeah,
Well, you can go back to your gene stuff. That's cute, I guess. Right? And I'm not saying it's not important, but like the hierarchy of people of like, oh, I do genes and sequencing. You only observe, and it's like, yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah, but you have to look at the genes. You're just observing. You're just observing something small. That's what you're doing. Right. Really, you just need like an electron microscope to see it.
It really was like a clear delineation. And this is just why these niches work, because like between like it would going through school, like there were the ecologists, the applied biologists, the management side, and the genomicists. And it was like nary the twain shall talk to one another. Like you would go and you would sit to people who were just doing gene sequencing and everything, and they were looking purely about like the connection between this one region to another region and things like that. And when you would say, okay, cool, how does that impact the species? You know, they'd look at you like, what is ridiculous question? Like, why?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Would you ask that?
Macro view. Get out of here.
and then the ecologists would be over here trying to figure out. You know, basically, we were the group of like, can everybody just get along? like let's figure out how all the animals love one another, and like what with the plants? What are you doing? And like all this stuff. And the management people would be going, yeah. So how does that get me more of, you know, whatever, or like how can I optimize this for that? And we're like, why would you ask that question? Like, that's not important. So just
it's a bit of an odd question, to be fair, but
but it's just, and I know that's why those expertise is there and everything. But being an ecologist to the core, I just have a hard time connecting with those other things. It's like, well, not that I'm better, not that the world is better or not, but it's just like, it's just a different world. And just making sure that you're asking those relevant questions and that you're truly understanding. Because again, it's like no gene sequencing would have gotten you the behavior of the eye ointment. Like, let's just be very real here. Like, that's not a thing. So that's an observation. So observe.
Yeah, look at stuff.
Look.
Got him. That's what you get to.
Okay.
That's what you get.
I think that's a beautiful bombshell.
I think so.
I think so. So we've learned how tornado sirens work. Maybe we don't understand them fully. We blitzkrieged through the impact of antibiotics on kidneys of vultures.
And on avian renal failure.
And at the end of the day, just go look at stuff. I think that's on that bombshell is a good place to put a period.
Yes.
Here we go. Hey, so until next time, stay firm on your foundation. Don't get blown away. And
good shot.
We'll do this again soon.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.